What if the girl hauling ammo became the only line between life and death? Meet Emily Carter, broken watch, empty wallet, dusty road. She never planned to fire a shot. The battle decided otherwise. Stay. Because the moment she pulls that pin, everything changes. Emily Carter kept time with a broken watch, the second hand snagged at the same mark each loop, like a breath caught in the throat. She wore it anyway. The glass was cracked. The strap was stitched with thread the color of dried tea. It was useless as a clock. It was perfect as a reminder. Time fails. People keep going. Across the depot yard, crates were stacked to her shoulder. Stamped codes. Stenciled warnings. She traced the numbers with a gloved finger. She learned to see weight by sight. Shells, cartridges, fuses, and paper sleeves. The air smelled like metal and cold oil. Trucks idled in a line, coughing gray. Beyond the fence, a dusty road ran east through ruined barns and thin trees. It went where the map said not safe and where the order said go anyway. Her wallet was empty. Not because she was poor, though she was, but because money meant choice. She'd traded choice for duty, and duty had no pockets. All that was inside was a folded photo of her kid brother. Mouth crooked in a grin. The corner wrinkled from being thumbed. She kept the photo against the leather like a seal. When fear seeped through, she pressed the wallet and felt his smile push back. Carter, the quartermaster barked from the doorway. Manifest signed? We roll at 06. Emily held up the clipboard. Ink smudged her palm. All signed. You drive third. Keep your distance. Keep your head. His eyes dragged over the watch and back to her face. You look tired. I'll sleep on the way back, she said. Lying. No one slept on the return. The road never gave you rest. Only another mile. The unit was half men, half women, all running on jitters and coffee. Some talked to fill the air. Some stood silent like they could hear the future and didn't like what it said. A boy young enough to be in her brother's class kicked the dirt by his boot. He asked, not to anyone, do we ever stop shaking? Emily said, you don't. You learn to carry the shake. He nodded like he understood, and maybe he did. War aged some people by the hour. She checked her truck. Thumped tires. Tested the clutch. Ran her hand along the tarp rope, feeling for weakness. A stray nail caught her glove and kissed her skin. She made a fist and watched a dot of blood bloom. It looked too bright. Like the world refused to dull it yet. On the dash sat the map. Creased, stained, folded wrong too many times. A blue pencil marked their route like a vein across a scar. The lieutenant came by, tapping points with the end of a pen. Up this ridge. Through the gap. No villages if we can help it. There's talk of traps in the doorways. What kind? Someone asked. The kind that waits. He didn't smile. We'll be fast. Emily slid the empty wallet into the breast pocket of her jacket. She tucked the broken watch under her sleeve. She liked to feel it against the bone. The trucks grumbled into gear. Morning was thin and watery. A fog lay low over the field like someone had left a blanket where the sun couldn't reach it. They rolled out to the dusty road. It wasn't dust today. It was mud glazed with ash. The tires hissed. The lead driver called out obstacles on the radio. Fence down left. Shell hole 30 yards. Keep right. Fields tilted by blast. Trees burned to poles. Here and there, cowbells hung from collapsed fences, clinking when the wind had a mind. In one yard, a bicycle lay on its side beside a watering can. The can was dented. The bicycle chain was off the ring. Whoever had been here had expected to come back and never did. The convoy moved like a long breath you couldn't finish. At a bend, a woman waved from a doorway with both hands like she was shooing chickens. Emily couldn't hear her over the engine whine. 3 kids crowded behind the woman's skirt. Emily slowed. The radio crackled. Don't stop. But the woman stepped into the lane, palms out. The lead truck eased, then braked. The second braked. Emily braked. The trailer jerked, weight surging. She tasted metal and old smoke. The woman shouted in a language Emily didn't have, but some words don't need translation. The woman pointed to the road. Then she mimed a box. Then she spread her hands wide like an explosion that starts small and forgets to stop. The lieutenant jumped down. He crouched by the ruts and touched the dirt like a priest blessing water. He motioned for a sapper. The sapper crept, eyes on the mud, hands gentle like the earth might flinch. He probed with a bayonet where the wheel track narrowed. He found the first wire lying too neat. He followed it with 2 fingers and slow breath to a rusted milk tin half buried by someone who knew fear makes you look fast, not careful. He lifted his chin at the lieutenant. "One," he said. "One what?" The boy asked from the second truck. "One that we can see." The sapper cut the wire. The tin didn't move. He asked for water, poured it slow, revealing another wire. Then another. The roadside was a spider's apron. Emily felt the broken watch tick against no time at all. The sapper stood, hands shaking like a leaf that refuses to fall. He pointed to a safer line skirting the ditch. The lieutenant nodded. One by one, the trucks feathered the clutch, eased tires inches from inches, kissed past the snare without waking it. The woman pressed her palms together and bowed when Emily crept by. Emily lifted a hand. The smallest kid lifted a toy horse made of twine. The horse was missing a leg. Someone had wrapped the stump with a ribbon. Blue. The convoy cleared the web. Beyond the bend, the sky brightened. Mud gave back the scent of rain and iron. The radio breathed in short bursts. Someone laughed too loud like he'd lived through his own funeral. The lieutenant told him to cut it out. Emily leaned forward, both hands on the wheel, eyes on the blue pencil line on the map. She thought of her brother, his grin folded inside leather. She thought of the woman's hands, the way they shook after the danger had passed, as if they had found the fear late. She didn't see the shadow in the orchard on the hill. She saw the glint. The glint moved. Then the first shot found glass. The windshield burst into 1,000 stinging bees. The world shattered white, and the engine shuddered, and the road dropped away beneath her wheels. And Emily felt the truck tilt. Enjoying the convoy tactics? Tap subscribe for weekly faceless briefs. The truck slammed into the ditch and stopped like the earth had hands. Emily's chest hit the wheel. Air flamed out of her. She tasted mud, then glass, then blood. Noise braided itself into a rope and pulled at her skull. She blinked until the swarm cleared. "Carter, you good?" The radio was half static, half urgency. She croaked. "Alive." Bullets stitched the tarp behind her. The crates thumped like hearts in hard cases. The boy in the second truck was shouting someone's name. The orchard spit muzzle flashes in short, careful bites. "Not panic. Practice. Cover right, the lieutenant barked. "Smokes!" 2 canisters hissed and rolled. White billowed. The world fogged into a bad memory. Shapes shifted and forgot their edges. Emily shoved the door. It stuck. She shoved harder. It gave and threw her into the ditch water up to the knee. Cold grabbed bone. The broken watch ticked its imaginary time under her sleeve. The sound calmed her the way a metronome calms a novice pianist. Not because it was accurate. Because it was steady. She scrambled to the backboard, fingers slipping on wet canvas. "Hands!" she called. 2 materialized, then 4. They lowered crates to her arms, and she passed them into the ditch where bodies formed a chain. "They're trying to burn us," someone coughed. "Then we move," Emily said, and her voice surprised her. It didn't shake. It didn't ask. They moved. Smoke swallowed sight lines. It gentled the orchard's cruelty. It also hid the trees' angles and the ditch's slicks. Twice Emily slipped and ate mud and flailed at air until a hand yanked her back into balance. The second time the hand was small. The boy. His name tag read P North. The P meant nothing to her. The North landed weirdly hopeful. "You're bleeding," he said. "Later," she said. A round cracked the mirror where her face had been. Glass rained like ice. "Left flank," came a shout. "I can't see it." Came another. "Use the road." Emily peered over the ditch lip. The dusty road was all churn now, marked by tires and boot commas. Through the smokescreen, a darker shape glided, crouch run crouch. The orchard was trying to get closer. She counted their rhythm. 3 heartbeats between shots, 2, 3. She flipped her empty wallet open and shut, open and shut. She did that when her brain wanted to sprint away without her. She told it, "You will walk." The leather snapped like a coach's clap. "North," she said. "On my mark." "Ma'am?" "On 1." She counted down and popped up and fired where the rhythm told her to. Her first shot took bark. Her second took branch. Her third made a shape jerk. North's fourth sewed 2 more stitches in the same seam. The shape stopped moving. She ducked. Her hands shook. She let them. Then she let the shake run out to her fingertips and evaporate. Her mouth was dry but tasted like pennies. The lieutenant slid into the ditch beside her. His sleeve was ripped, his cheek nicked, his eyes electric. "We're split," he said. "First and second trucks are on the far side. Third and fourth stuck here with you. The orchard's got at least 6. Could be 10. How many of us?" "Fewer." He glanced at the crates. "We lose those, we starve the line. We lose you, we lose the crates. Nice math, she said. Ugly truth. He checked his watch. It worked. It lied anyway. All watches lied here. Smoke clears in 2 minutes. We push then. Into the orchard, she asked. Past it, he said. She looked at the map. The blue line cut the flank like a vein that assumed skin. Rhodes watched. Ditch is slow. Field? Field is open, he said. Sometimes open is safer, she said. You volunteering to be first? He asked. She didn't answer. He grinned like a man who had just remembered he could. I'll take that as yes. They made a plan that would have been brilliant if it wasn't necessary. 2 smoke canisters left. Time them. Stagger trucks. Cover leapfrogs. Carry only what doesn't blow if you drop it. The orchard coughed. The smoke thinned. The wind turned traitor and whisked their curtain aside. Now, the lieutenant said. Emily vaulted the ditch with a crate on her hip and the broken watch biting her wrist. The field beyond was a ruined quilt. Furrows, stumps, ragged wheat. The lingering green of a season that did not ask for war and got drafted anyway. She ran crooked like a rook so no line found her twice. She dropped the crate by a hump of earth and went back. On her second run, a bullet shaved her sleeve. On her third, her boot twisted deep in a hoof hole and she went down on her knee so hard the sky blinked. She crawled the rest of the way, teeth in her lip, crate crushing her ribs. Hands grabbed it from her and sent her for another. On the fourth, she found the boy North frozen by the ditch, eyes saucered, hands locked on a case of fuses like it was a baby he didn't know how to hold. Breathe, she said. Blink. He did both. He moved. They ran. Behind them, the remaining truck roared, reverse biting into wet earth, engine screaming in a way that told her it was almost done screaming forever. The driver rocked it, and the bed cleared the lip. 2 wheels bit, then blessedly 4, go. The lieutenant yelled, and the driver went, fishtailing mud like theater smoke, dragging canvas scars and swearing into the radio in a voice too loud to be afraid. They reached the field's far ditch in a series of ungraceful miracles. Emily fell headfirst into it and barked her shin. Pain sang high and clear. She loved the sound because it meant she wasn't dead. Count, the lieutenant yelled. They counted. They did not reach the right number. Who's missing? Emily asked. Grady, someone said. Not Grady, another said. He's here. Wet and ugly. Then who? Driver of 2, the boy said. His voice was small. He took a round. He waved me off. The field went quiet except for the ticking of engines cooling under gray air. Can't go back, the lieutenant said, flat. No one argued. The orchard still breathed. We run the low road by the culvert, Emily said. It flows under the lane and spits us out behind that hedge. We can hook right and rejoin first and second where the line bends. How do you know that? He asked. I walked it in my head when I couldn't sleep. He gave a short nod. Good enough. They crawled through a tunnel that smelled like frogs and rust and childhood summers ruined by history. The grate at the far end was wired shut. Emily slid her knife under the twist and pried. Filament snapped. Metal scratched metal. She bruised her knuckles. She whispered an apology to whomever, had said it to keep pigs in or men out. They spilled into a ditch tender with grass that had not learned to be afraid. Yet, the hedge on the right was a broken wall of thorns and old birds' nests. Beyond, the lane bent to a shallow rise. Humanities were small at the crest, ants with rifles. Friend ants, she prayed. They crept to the bend. A whistle sliced the air. Not wind, not bird. A note thin as a blade. Down, she hissed. And they obeyed without knowing why. The world above the hedge bloomed in black smoke. Something heavy crashed where their heads had just been. Shrapnel diced leaves into confetti. Mortar, the lieutenant said. They're mapping us. Then we don't let them finish the map, Emily said. How? She touched the broken watch. It told her nothing. She touched the empty wallet. It told her everything. Choice. Spend what you don't have. She slid her pack to the ground and pulled out a smoke canister and a flare. We go loud. We go right at them. That's crazy, someone said. That's the point, she said. The lieutenant grinned again, feral now. On your call, Carter. She pulled the pin on the smoke and rolled it into the lane. White rushed up and out, covering their fear in seconds. Now, she said, and led them into the white, straight toward the next blast, only to see a figure step through the gauze, arms up, palms bare, a scarf tied to a stick like a surrendering moth. Behind the figure, shapes moved. Not theirs, hold fire, Emily shouted, heart tripping. The scarf fluttered, then it fell, and the figure's palms turned into flame. See the full counter-ambush playbook. The fire licked the scarf and raced the fabric. The figure threw the stick and reached for a belt under the coat. A human fuse. A walking dead, Emily didn't think. She shoulder-charged the hedge hard enough to open a thorned mouth and spat herself into the lane. Her boot stuck on a root and momentum did the rest. She tackled the figure. The two of them slid in mud. Hands scrabbled for the belt. For the pin. For anything little that could make everything big. The coat came open. The belt was real. The pins were bent to slow the world's mercy. The eyes staring up at her were a girl's. Older than the boy on her team, younger than Emily. Eyes that had seen the same sky for 20 years and then watched it burn in one day. Don't, Emily said. One word, a plea. An order, a prayer. The girl's jaw clenched. She spit in Emily's face. Emily closed one eye against it, bared her teeth and ripped the belt free. She threw it into the culvert. It hit stone and skittered. The blast kicked the tunnel like a mule. Water slapped Emily's boots. The hedge exhaled. Her team poured into the lane. Smoke turned the world night. Someone dragged the girl away. Someone else covered. The lieutenant's hand clamped on Emily's shoulder. "Carter, you idiot," he said, and his voice broke in the middle of the insult. "Add it to the list," she said, breathless. A deeper rumble swelled. Not mortar, not small arms. A throat the size of a barn clearing itself. "Tank," the boy north said. "Where?" the lieutenant asked. Emily lifted her head. The ground under the smoke was trembling. The hedge whispered each tremor leaf to leaf. She closed her eyes and pictured the map not as lines but as muscle. "Left," she said. "On the farm track. The one with the ruts full of black water." "How do you smell it?" she said. And now she did. The diesel sour stink of old armor and argument. They had nothing for a tank but bad language and better luck. The truck engines behind them answered someone's foot. The lieutenant made a call. "We cut past the mill," he said. "We hang the bend. The river is shallow there, we ford. We lose a truck and keep the rest, we're blessed. And if we lose two?" someone asked. "Then we drive on wheels that aren't there." They moved, a knot of blur, kept whole by the way each person touched the next person's sleeve. It felt like crossing a street in a storm while holding hands with strangers and pretending you were a family. The mill loomed, brick chewed by blast, wheel broken into spokes like a rib cage. The river beside it sulked low and dark. Upstream, a horse lay tangled in rope, eyes filmed with water. Emily looked away fast and found the broken watch instead. It said nothing, which was kind. They drove the first truck into the ford. It balked, then obeyed, then found a pit and decided to sink. The driver swore in vowels. 3 bodies pushed at once, felt the bed lighten and the current slick their boots. The truck lurched, died, took breath again, climbed the far bank like a stubborn dog. The second rolled in cleaner and climbed freer. The third, Emily's, bogged halfway, shuddering like a heart that forgot its own beat. She could feel the weight behind her. The ammo cases, the thanks of men she would never meet. "Feather it," the lieutenant yelled. She did. The engine argued and finally gave her 2 feet. 3. The current shifted. The rear tires kissed stones and whispered a promise. The promise broke. A shell hit the mill wheel with an insult that could be heard in any language. Brick threw red into the air. Water threw itself at its own surface. The truck lurched right, her hands yanked left, and the world tried to decide who it liked better. Her empty wallet jabbed her ribs. She took the hint. She leaned into the wheel like it was a person she refused to lose. The tires found a ledge, gripped and dragged, screaming. Mud popped from the treads. The truck climbed the bank and threw its weight onto land. She laughed once, a sound like disbelief. The 4th truck started in. The tank's shell hit the water where the truck had been. The river jumped. The truck flinched. The driver froze. "Don't stop!" Emily screamed so loud it hurt. The driver didn't stop. He pushed. The engine gave him a thread of torque. He pulled the thread like a patient making a sweater from a single string. The truck waddled, coughed, climbed, and lived. Behind them, the tank decided the ford was not worth its dignity. It ground along the lane instead, looking for a place where rivers forget to bite. "Go," the lieutenant said. "We put the bend between us." They drove until the map said they had no right to still be alive. Hedgerows opened onto a small rise where the world had the decency to spread out. Emily braked on a knoll and looked back. The orchard had shrunk to a smudge. The mill was missing a side. Smoke wrote a letter to no one. The girl bomber sat in the back of the last truck, hands tied, eyes fixed on some road only she could see. The boy north handed her a canteen. She didn't drink. She scowled like the water had done something personal. Name? Emily asked. The girl didn't answer. What should we call you? Emily tried again. Don't, the lieutenant said. She's a prisoner. She's a person, Emily said.